where were you on the morning of September 11th, 2001, and do you have an alibi?
I kind of do. I was packing my bag on the end of my bed. I was heading to LaGuardia Airport to fly to, where was I flying to? Ohio or wherever I worked, somewhere out west, somewhere up there. And the first plane hit. I was actually listening to the Howard Stern show, and they said it. I turned on the TV, and then I called my client who was in Manhattan at the time, and I said, "Hey, I think our plane's going to be delayed." And just as I said that, the second fake plane hit, and our cell phones went dead. And I scratched my head, and I was like, "All right, my plane's definitely canceled." And I turned off the TV, and I went down to the shoreline, where I had an unobstructed, extremely clear view of Lower Manhattan, and I watched the buildings turn to dust before my eyes, and it just didn't make sense.
That must have been extremely frightening to see it.
I with my naked eye, I could see it very clear, but I had binoculars, and I was zoomed in. I could see it in the extreme detail, and the only explanation I had is that the buildings collapsed. Because that's what the radio.
Apologies for replaying this, by the way. I'm just trying to find a part that makes very, very clear that he's reading from a script. So please bear with me.
Had on in my ear was saying, and the building was gone. There was this weird column of smoke that remained in place for an extended period of time. And then that's when I left to go pick up my kids from school.
Oh my goodness, that must have been extremely frightening to see. And it sounds like from what you were seeing, there weren't planes. You didn't see planes. You just saw buildings collapsing.
Well, hang on. The planes hit when I was still home. What they showed us on TV happened when I went home. So then I went down to the shore and watched the buildings, in quotation marks, collapse. Right. But they basically just turned to dust in midair.
Yeah.
Well, I believed the story at first, and it wasn't until a couple of years later that I started to really think about it.
As did I.
And actually, when I started to think about it, it was because I heard Jesse Ventura on the Howard Stern show talking about it, and it made total sense to me what he was saying about how jet fuel couldn't have melted those beams. And I really had not given it a second thought. I really thought that it was terrorists with planes. I feel silly that I thought that, but I was younger and it wasn't
Welcome
really
back
on
to
my mind.
KHAM Radio, episode 37. This is June 4th, 2015, and my guest, David.
Hello.
Now, apologies. I was playing the wrong part altogether, the wrong video. So I found the right one. Good. Yeah, this is the one. Right, give me a second while I screen share the correct one. And just give me a sec. Let me see. Is this the one? Yes. Right.
How you doing?
I am doing better now, thank you.
Oh, you were stuck on the highway. I hate that. This is David Weiss, and you have a website?
Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. We do the Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole podcast, and I have a website. We kind of expose everything from 9/11 to Sandy Hook, Boston, all sorts of stuff. Lots of information on the website. Check it out. Links to the podcast and everything else we do.
Okay, thank you. We also have with us Hoy Polloi from Clues Forum. Hi, Hoy.
Hi, I'm back. Hi.
Hi, you're back. All right. Well, before you got here, we were talking about, kind of what happened on 9/11, what things look like.
Sure.
And we were really interested in your experience because you said you were in New Jersey, right?
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Yeah, down the Long Island town. It's with a view of Lower Manhattan.
So, Connecticut. All right. comes down, like Lower Manhattan comes down kind of like a tongue, doesn't it?
It sticks out. It's about 25 miles max, Lower Manhattan for me, in a straight line over the water.
All right, and then the very bottom of that tongue, you have the Lower Manhattan and the Twin Towers.
Absolutely, I had full view of the entire thing with binoculars.
All right, so I couldn't remember what tower it was, or if you could just like walk me through that.
So that morning, I was actually packing my bags. I was supposed to fly from LaGuardia to Ohio, for a printing job I was doing. My
Notice, in the previous one, which was an entirely different interview, he did the same thing. He can't quite recall where he was flying. It's like, was it Ohio? Was it? Well, if he couldn't quite remember in the first interview, then he might, in a second interview, go. I was flying to Ohio. I checked in a previous interview. I wasn't quite sure, so I checked. And yeah, it was Ohio I was flying. But it's the same. What was it? I'm not. It gives it a sense of, he probably can't remember because of the trauma of the day thing. Oh dear. But let's carry on. Or maybe it's like I was flying to Hesitate, Ohio, and yeah.
Client and friend was in Manhattan visiting somebody at a hospital, and the first tower was hit. I'm watching it on the news, and I'm watching, the news coverage, CNN, everyone's watching, see all the smoke. I called up my buddy, and I said, "You see what's going on?" He's like, "No," and I was like, "Got a window. Look out, look downtown," and he looks out the window and says, "Oh my God!" And at that very moment is when the second plane hit, quotation marks, and the phones went dead. And my initial response was these stupid cell phones. I was like, I can't believe it. And then it didn't hit me. I'm watching, and then I'm watching this on the news. I'm flipping the channels. I'm listening to the radio, and I said, I got to go down to the beach. It's just about 2 miles away. And I went down to the beach, listening on the radio. I'm watching binoculars, and then all of a sudden, the first tower went top to bottom, and it looked like basically, some of the famous videos that we've seen, where it just mushroomed out and went top to bottom at an incredibly fast speed. And I was just leaving the beach as the second one went down. I didn't have binoculars when the second one went down, and went and picked up my kids and did kind of what everyone else did.
Hey, what's going on with the volume?
Please, anything.
That's very generous. Thank you. What do you mean by mushroomed out? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so I don't know the names of all the videos, but there's one video that Dr. Judy Wood shows a lot where you see that the building, it kind of goes up and out and comes down, and there's that one big piece that she tracks down that turns into dust. I'm sure most 9/11 investigators know which video I'm talking about. And that's kind of what it looked like. That's really what it looked like to me. Of course, I couldn't see the individual pieces from my distance, but I saw the top of the building just puffed out, and then the whole thing came raining down, maybe at, 2 thicknesses of the building in width, it went out as wide as the building on each side, maybe that much. And it went down to the ground. Tower was gone. There was a shoot of smoke there where I'm like, no, the tower still has to be there. It can't be gone. But then on the radio, they're saying that the tower had collapsed. The tower collapsed. Collapsed, they kept saying. And, right there was some of the best mind programming of this event, until the Harley shirt guy came out and told us what happened.
I agree with you. I agree that's a lot of programming. I want to focus on your witness testimony because it's so rare.
Sure.
Would you mind if I had a few more questions?
Please. It helps me sort it out.
Okay, so one one thing that comes to mind is this is a very sensitive question, and I apologize for being for potentially judging you on this question, but
Please.
how can you be sure that because your mind has linked up that video that you saw with what your witness testimony kind of is now, how can you be sure that you've separated them enough? It was a long time ago. Can you be sure that you haven't, over time of telling a story to people, merged them in your mind a bit, or?
I understand your question, and to be honest, I really haven't thought about until my discussion with you guys last week, where I didn't really think about what I saw through the binoculars, comparing it to all of the videos that I've seen and analyzed. And it was our discussion last week that made me think, what did I really see? And I remember that what I saw so vividly. Now, I'm not saying it was the same thing. I'm just saying I saw the towers go from top to bottom, puffed out in the smoke around the same time frame. I remember watching it, and it was bulging out. It was bulging out in the middle or below the fall line, and you can see.
There you go. Okay, he's speaking just words, or he's reading, and he's reading wrong because he's being kind of cross-examined. Okay, I'm going to replay his bulging. Okay, nobody says that when they're speaking.
Bulging out in the middle or below the fall line.
Let me go back. So that's 7:16. Go to 7:10. 7:7. Listen.
I remember watching it, and it was bulging out. It was bulging out in the middle or below the fall.
Hello, what? No, that's not a spoonerism. That's not. No, that's dyslexia. Reading the word bulging, but having vertically flipped the G. Listen again.
Bulging out. It was bulging out in the middle or below the fall line. And you can see this big bulge, and it just went down. Maybe 8 to 10 seconds. And then there was a column of smoke, and I remember that the column of smoke stayed there for longer than I would expect it. And I don't know how long that was, but
David,
go ahead.
So about how much view did you have of the Twin Towers? Did you have a full view from top to bottom of every floor?
Of course not top to bottom. I would say probably the bottom 20 floors were obscured by other buildings from my vantage point.
20. All right. I guess my point is, at least from the 20th floor down, it appeared top to bottom. Right.
Well, right. From everything that I could see was gone.
Right. Just went straight down.
It went straight down, and I'm with Dr. Wood a lot on the towers didn't fall, they turned to dust in midair. That makes the most amount of sense to me. Do I believe that it was just directed energy? I have different theories, but those are just my theories.
David, are you familiar with the technique Vernage?
No, what is that?
It's a French technique. They use it all the time to take buildings down. You have to have enough on top of the floor. If you have at least 6 floors, then what you do is they have these hydraulic jacks that pop all the supports at one time, and that's all you need. And you do it on 2 floors, one above the other. Then that middle floor, it just slides out to the left or to the right or whatever, and then the 2 floors collapse, and just that amount of weight collapsing justifies the whole building, all the way down.
So that's an interesting concept, but I have an argument to that. And again, I'm not an engineer. You know, as the building goes up, the floors and the beams and the floors get thinner and thinner and lighter because they don't need that much support. My understanding is above the first impact was only about 4% of the building's weight. And even if it was all the floors weighed the same amount, and you had this 10-story block falling down, pulverizing the building below it, the block itself would also be pulverizing. So after 10 floors, there would be nothing left. If it was truly pulverized, if it was pancaking in building mass, that could explain taking out thicker and thicker floors on the bottom, possibly. But that's going through the path of most resistance. And even if each floor slowed it down for a half a second, because you have to slow down that mass to transfer the energy to destroy what's below it, that's 50 seconds, okay, additional to the falling speed.
But
So,
David,
yeah.
they do it now. Vernage is happening now. They're doing it with 30, 40-story buildings right now. It's already proven. So what you're saying doesn't count. Vernage is already proven technology. Why couldn't they just apply that to 9/11?
The Vernage collapses falling at that speed.
Yeah, you should. There's videos on the internet. Let's Google it right now. Yeah. You're going to be blown away. I didn't even know this thing was true.
How do you spell Vernage?
Verinage. Vernage explosiveless demolition. So it's explosiveless demolition, and the French term for that is Vernage.
Now, are they taking out steel reinforced concrete buildings?
Look at them. Watch the video.
I'll I don't want to do it while we're talking on the show here, but I'm not going to discount it until I view it myself and see what's going on. But it really, as far as physics go, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, the example of a bowling ball falling through air versus a bowling ball falling through cement and steel, it's gonna slow it down.
Well, and it might slow it down, but if you can't trust the video you saw on TV.
I'm trusting what I saw through the binoculars.
Well, I mean, did you time it? Did you go 1001, 1002, 1003?
No, but I think what I saw went down faster than what we saw on TV. It went down so fast, I couldn't understand what I just saw. It didn't make any sense at all. It literally was. It felt like 5 seconds, and when something like that happens, 5 seconds usually feels like a minute, you know. But it felt like 5 seconds.
I hope that it doesn't worry you to be in my position, but my position is almost like, even if I had witness testimony, even that I would have to question about my own ability to remember and separate my experiences from video experiences if I were in a position where I hadn't had a lot of years of experience mentally doing that and practicing and exercising, separating visual photography and effects from my own memory. Then I would be more confident with my own testimony. And I don't want to say that that's, everyone's different. I don't want to say that that's what you are doing or have to do. I'm willing to accept that you believe that you saw that, and it's a very interesting story. If it's true that it was, say, like 5 seconds, as you say, why would you necessarily want to attach that to a separate theory? Wouldn't your testimony be stronger as just your detailed testimony as it is, and then you don't have to say, okay, it was definitely this thing that sounds close to what I believe is directed energy weapon.
Yeah, so I'm telling you my testimony of what I saw.
Yeah.
And I try to explain what I saw by a gravity collapse. It doesn't make sense to me. What makes a lot more sense than a gravity collapse would be a classic controlled demolition. But, looking at evidence further, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, I'm curious why you would discount classic controlled demolition. I'm curious because that seems logical to me too.
Sure.
To discount that and say there was some kind of special technique used, but I don't want to jump to directed energy weapons simply because the people who are promoting that I find extremely suspect, and I don't see a lot of good evidence for it. So I'm almost wanting to support you in saying, okay, there's a 5-second collapse, but we just don't know.
Just curious, no judgment. Have you read Where Did the Towers Go, cover to cover?
No, I haven't.
So I actually supported Dr.
Very good. I'm going to now show the book he's just describing. Give me a second. Where did the towers go? I've shown this before on my previous channel. I showed this live on a Hangout with David Weiss and the imposter. I'm going to find a page, I think it's page 79, where there's a photograph of, well, after the clearance has taken place and rebuilding has started, and first you rebuild the floor, where the photograph is being used as evidence that there was no hole in the bathtub, which was the very bottom of the basement. I'm going to show that photo. This is in Judy Woods' book. This is how you can tell that this person is a fraud. So, and they're using it to say, see, no hole. It's like, see the scaffolding, see the freshly laid concrete, see? Right, so I'll carry on playing whilst I find it. Fraud.
Wood's work for well over a year while
Here,
having her book
I
in
have
my
it.
possession and never reading.
I have it. I'm going to make the screen big so you can see. You're going to see scaffolding and you're going to see freshly laid concrete reflecting some of the building where the hole was, for evidence of there being no hole. Watch this photo, that photo right there. Can you see where the hole was? Can you see how, well, there's now no hole because there's water on the freshly laid concrete. Can you see the scaffolding? Can you see how this is not immediately the moment they got to the very bottom? Now compare that with the photos of the firemen looking into the holes. See, Dr. Judy Woods says those firemen were lying. There were no holes. They were not looking into any holes. There were no rivers of molten steel falling into a hole at the very bottom, because you see, after the scaffolding and the clearing up and a bit of reconstruction, there's no hole, see? Fraud. And David Weiss is a fraud for pushing a fraud. So let's continue, because they start grilling him more.
Reading a couple pages here and there, skimming through the book. Then I was in a conversation with her, and she put me in my place. She said to me, I asked a question, I forget exactly what the question was, and she said, did you read my book? You know, and obviously I hadn't. And then I read it over the weekend, cover to cover, and it changed my complete understanding of what I learned from watching every single one of her lectures. So I like to say to people...
But to me, that sounds like you're not distilling the information, that you're not saying, here's what I learned and here's how I can explain it to everybody. That would make more sense to me.
Her book is actually very detailed, and you can discount any part of it that you want. All I'm saying is read the book and then throw the information out. You can't judge her book unless you read it. And it's a daunting book. It's 550 pages or whatever it is.
But do you hear what I'm saying? Like, if you actually understood the information, you would be able to explain it.
Well, I can, but it would probably take a couple of hours, and I wouldn't do as good of a job as if you read the book. You know,
I'm prepared to take your testimony over hers.
I got it. I get it. You know, I was down in Lower Manhattan, within a week or two after 9/11, and it was amazing how well they had it walled off where you couldn't see anything. But I was able to see from a friend's apartment into the area, and there was nothing there. I mean, not nothing, but you really can't appreciate how big these buildings were unless you were there, and a lot of people were there. There would have been a pile, even though everyone says the buildings are hollow and the way they were constructed, even if you just took the floors, just the floors themselves, that would have stacked up to 100 feet tall or more.
Okay, so this is what, just to frame this is your argument against conventional controlled demolition.
I am not saying that. My best explanation is that there was a controlled demolition with some sort of directed advanced energy weapon that released molecular bonds from holding. Like a steel bond is much stronger than a balsa wood bond.
Like a huge explosion.
Steel building, you're gonna maybe blow some big holes and some.
Like a huge explosion under the towers, as dictated by the building regulations for buildings of such height. He just doesn't mention that. This is what Dmitry Kalisov mentions. It was the law. You had to have a pre-planned demolition system when erecting a building above a certain number of floors in New York, and the same in other cities in the US. It's part of their building regulations. If you don't have a pre-planned system, you can't build it, sorry. So what they do is they plant great big explosives. So when it comes to bringing down the building, they detonate these explosives, which are deep under the ground, around 50 meters or so. Boom, explosion, makes its way to the surface. All of that potency makes its way out. Disbands the bonds, undoes the bonds. This is an electromagnetic wave. It rips apart all the magnetic bonds, and you end up with, well, dust and what looks like the use of ferrite
and stuff. But if you put some energy in there to make the bonds of everything weaken to maybe the point of balsa wood or something, and then you blow up these controlled demolitions, the whole thing's going to turn to dust.
But that's
can
confusing
I
to me because...
Can I say something for a minute?
Sure.
Just to, you're like, where did it go? Well, if this is a planned ahead event, then they planned ahead the demolition and removal. I guarantee you, dump trucks around the clock, they had it all timed out. Why is that hard? That's so conventional to me. Dump trucks, there you go. You got ports right there. I mean,
right, but the pile on the evening of 9/11 was only 1 or 2 stories high, and it should have been 20 or 30 stories high.
Did you see it personally, David?
I did, but not on that day. You're right.
See?
So I have a couple of firemen buddies that were on what they call the pile, and I've asked them numerous times on how tall it was, and they're like, it wasn't tall at all. It was, everything got smashed together. They still believe in the gravity collapse. But
okay, but hold on a second now. You're
go ahead.
You okay? You just brought in a whole other kind of problematic thing, which is your trust of people who work for the government.
No, these guys don't work. These are volunteer firemen that I worked for at the printing company that I worked at, and they went down there for a couple of days.
The government is still someone who works for the government.
Yeah, but you have to be able to. You guys are judging me, saying I sound trustworthy. You don't even know who I am. I know these guys for years, and they're actually one of them is very sick right now. So I
don't understand what that has to do with it. No, the point is, you were going on your own testimony, but then now you're bringing in other people and saying that in order for us to trust you, we have to trust these people that you trust. Now that puts us in a very difficult position.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm trying to verify how much debris was there, and I have 2 choices. I can look at pictures, or I could talk to eyewitnesses. Well, I have some eyewitnesses that I trust implicitly, and I have pictures that I'm fairly good at discerning, what's real and what's not real. And I'm not perfect. I'm sure I'll get some stuff wrong. So those are my two options, and I really haven't found anything that's saying anything different.
Well, then what is the unexamined assumption here that we're facing? What we're facing is the fact that you trust these people without the level of questioning that, we're presenting new kinds of questions to you. I can hear it in your voice that you're contemplating new ideas.
The guy talking is very sharp, and Weiss is now thinking, shit, I'm dueling with somebody who's much sharper than me.
That you haven't brought to them, that you haven't actually introduced to them before. You haven't actually challenged their position before because you implicitly trust them. That doesn't mean that we can implicitly trust them right away. So this is one of those problems where it's all about kind of one-on-one things, not this second-hand, third-hand, I saw it on TV, well, I trust this government person. Even no matter how close you are to them, even if they're your own sister or father, this doesn't necessarily...
Sure, I believe, I understand actually, mind control and programming of people and the ability to manipulate people, because I actually used to do hypnosis on people. I was very good at it, and it's very simple. It's the most simple thing. So, yeah, anything is possible. I don't discount it. But I saw the towers disappear at a very quick rate, and it was mind-boggling.
Usually, when somebody has done hypnosis, and they're telling you that they have done hypnosis, they say, I have done hypnosis. They don't say, I have done hypnosis, which is what he just said. However, if you're reading the word out loud, okay, so pay attention.
On people, I was very good at it, and it's very...
Oh, sorry.
Programming of people and the ability to manipulate people, because I actually used to do hypnosis.
Who says hypnosis? Only people who are reading it out loud. Otherwise it's hypnosis. See? Sorry, David.
I was very good at it, and it's very simple. It's the most simple thing. So, yeah, anything is possible. I don't discount it. But I saw the towers disappear at a very quick rate.
You're feeling very relaxed. You're feeling very relaxed. Your eyelids are feeling heavy. That's not my hand reaching into your pocket. You're feeling very relaxed. Yeah, right. Like that dude could do hypnosis. Aye.
And it was mind-boggling. Here's the thing, too. I saw them fall before I heard somebody tell me they were gone. I saw it go down. I didn't understand what I was seeing. I'm like, that's like an explosion. I was thinking, wow, there's explosions. That was my first thought. And then I went over to a radio, and they said the towers have collapsed. The tower collapsed.
Interesting. So the radio was working, but the cell phone went out.
No. The cell phone went out. That was earlier. That was like right after. That was right when the second plane hit. Then I went down to the beach, and I actually wasn't on a cell phone. I was at home. I was on a regular phone talking to somebody in the city on a cell phone.
You see, he just said at home he was on a regular phone, but in the other interview where he's not being cross-examined, he said that when the second tower hit, their phones went out. And he thought, God damn these mobile phones. But now he was on his landline. Oh dear.
But I was down at the beach, standing outside my car, at the water, at the edge, at the shoreline. And what was amazing was it was probably the clearest day I've ever remembered. I mean, blue sky.
That's interesting that you say that. That sounds like a really familiar line that we got a lot from the media.
I was in Tower 2 2 weeks before 9/11. I had a client that had office space on the 17th floor, and then either the 14th or I forget. I thought they were separated by 2 floors.
Which client?
It was a New York Institute. I did the printing for them. It was a college, some New York Institute. I can't remember the name of it. But I can't tell you that all the other floors in that building were empty, because when you go there, you get into an elevator, you press your floor number, and you go there, and there's a whole village in that floor, and the 10 floors above it could be empty, and I would never know it. So
what was it like on that floor?
It was normal people. I mean, what was the layout of the floor?
No, I mean, like, what was the state of this office? Was it like pictures we've seen where things are kind of being packed in boxes and there's just nothing but the windows? Or was it more? Did it seem like it could be? Could it be moved out day? Because colleges. I mean, what do they have? They just have filing cabinets and.
That's a good question, and it was such a long time ago. I did not take notice if there was extra boxes and stuff. The client I was dealing with, I was in and out usually within a half an hour. They had cubicles. They had stuff all over the place. They had printers going. Could they moved out? I do remember I called them. I tried to call them after the plane hit, and there was no. I couldn't reach anybody. And then I talked to them either a day or 2 days later, and they said that they had all gotten out, and that was the last I ever talked to them. So again,
wait, you called them when the plane hit?
I tried to call my client, because they're the people I knew in the building, and I either the phone rang or it did. I don't even remember at this point. I couldn't get through to anybody. I didn't try that hard.
Why would you call them?
Because I was friendly with them. I wanted to know what was going on. You try to reach out to somebody close by.
But you went in for like half an hour. It was just a client.
No, this was a client I did a ton of work with, and they were a nice woman. I'm totally spacing on her name. I know the story sounds, because I don't have the details on me. It sounds made up, but I assure you, there's no reason to make up the story.
They were friends.
Except to tell us that there were people there that weren't there.
Well, that you can always take it down that route, but I don't believe anybody was supposed to die in 9/11. I know 2 people that are gone, that their families believe that they're dead to this day. Or
who are they? What are their names?
Robbie Noonan and Mike Rothberg.
He really messes up.
Robbie Noonan?
Yep.
Noonin?
Newnan.
Robbie Noonan and who?
Michael Rothberg.
Rothberg. And what have you looked at pictures of them? On the memorial sites?
Yeah, those are them, and they're gone.
What do you mean they are them? The pictures are physically those people?
Yeah.
Oh.
So my belief is that they died in those buildings. Now, is it possible that they were compromised in some way, participating in some way, and have been relocated somewhere else? Absolutely possible.
Well, how is it that you know them?
Because I played squash with Mike Rothberg at least once a week, and I windsurf with Robbie Noonan on a regular basis for...
How regular?
Whenever it's windy, for 10 years, maybe longer.
So basically all the time.
And his brother. Well, it's not very windy here very often, so I went to parties. He lived in my town. I know I still see his sister to this day. You see
his sister?
Yeah.
Okay, what's her name?
Wells.
Every day. Listen, did he not just say just about every day? 2806.
Sister to this day.
Oh, to this day, sorry.
Yeah.
You see
So,
his sister.
yeah.
Okay, what's her name?
Wells.
Her name is Wells.
Yeah.
That's her name.
That's her name. Wells Noonan.
Wells.
Wells. You can look her up.
Like H.G. Wells.
Listen.
Wells.
Listen carefully. Let me put it down. 28, 27. 28.
That's her name. Wells Noonan.
Wells.
Wells. You can look her up.
Like H.G. Wells.
Just let me go back. Sorry, a second.
H.G. Wells.
Sorry. And I'm listening very carefully for a specific. I want to get something very clear.
Wells.
Wells. You can look her up.
Like H.G. Wells.
Wells. Noonan. Noonan. Noonan.
So she's spelled differently from Robbie Noonan?
No, I am a horrible speller, and I just wrote down Newnnan.
Okay, and so so Robbie Noonan is actually N-O.
It means he wrote things down wrong, and when he just was asked about those words, he said the wrong thing because he wrote them down wrong.
A-N as well.
I would assume so.
You would assume so. You think you knew them really well.
Well, do you know how to spell my name?
Yeah, I can look at it.
Listen, I'm not the greatest speller. Noonan sounds like Newnnan to me. I haven't looked at it's Noonan, Noonan.
Look, I'm having a hard time believing that you really knew these people so well as you claim, sir.
That's okay. You can believe that or not. It's not. I have no axe to grind.
Because he just identified the guy under the wrong name as the guy that had the other name. Huh, interesting.
I don't even have it. There's no.
Unless you're here to tell us that you knew some people who died that didn't.
I'm also saying that it's possible that they didn't die. I'm not.
But that doesn't necessarily make you less suspicious, because you're basically here saying you knew these people, they're real, you interacted with them, but you're kind of sketchy on the details here. I mean, if you really knew them...
I windsurfed with him. He wasn't my best friend. I'm good friends with his sister. I don't see her regularly. I basically see her twice.
It went from, yeah, we were windsurfing pals. Yeah, as often as we could, whenever it was winding. I didn't really know him very well. Dude, it just happened to be a guy that was windsurfing whilst I was... You see how the story changes?
Year right now. And
twice a year for what?
Twice a year. We go to a music festival together, and then I usually see her, once or twice in the summer.
What kind of music festivals?
It's a music festival.
Name one?
Gathering of the Vibes.
Okay. When is that? That goes on twice a year?
That goes on once a year at the end of July.
And another one is?
So he sees her in this festival, which is in the summer, and then he sees her at some time in the summer. Oh, could it be at the festival? Yeah.
Oh, that's the music festival that we go to.
Okay, what's another thing that you go to together?
We see each other out at a local bar where there's a band playing. We'll bump into each other once or twice a year.
I see.
Yeah.
Huh. Well.
You can look her up on Facebook if you want. You can see that we're friends.
Is that supposed to make me believe in her more?
Well, Well, okay. I mean, you can choose not to believe in anything. It's up to you.
No, but now you're saying that I can't believe in. I'm believing in nothing because I'm doubting your story.
Bong.
That's a huge leap.
You're welcome to doubt my story.
Okay, but I'm just saying, what you presented is you saw the tower collapse. It looked like the video.
Well, I'm saying
you knew two people
yeah.
who you think disappeared or died, and their pictures are them. They don't look like them. They don't look modified. You didn't look at the shadows. You didn't look at the victims around them that look suspiciously like them. They just aren't them.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I have not analyzed the pictures. I've seen the memorial pictures, and it's them, but I did not go in to see if those pictures were Photoshop. I don't know why they would be if that person, that name is a name that was listed as dead, and that person looks like that person. Why would they need to Photoshop it?
Well, how are we supposed to trust you that you're the only person saying that we know?
I'm not. I can.
That's saying this photo actually resembles a real person, and then on top of that, it resembles a person that you knew. I mean, I don't know. Just doesn't sound right. What about this whole idea that it mushroomed out and it ballooned out of the tower when it collapsed? What do you mean by that? Because it sounds to me like you're describing the video that you saw.
Well, no, I'm describing what I saw, and it looked like it exploded
the building itself.
outward.
The building itself expanded.
The debris, the smoke or dust, whatever it was, bubbled out like an explosion. And
what do you mean by that bubbled out?
How do you want me to explain it? If you
I want you to explain it like I'm a child, and you are explaining graphically exactly.
So there's a tower standing up in the air, and it explodes into a cloud, an expanding cloud of smoke, and then falls from top to bottom at a very fast speed, probably 5 seconds, maybe 6 seconds. Maybe I'm off by another second.
So what you're saying is it. Okay. So what you're saying is
what was left was a column of smoke that I was waiting for it to clear, and it didn't clear very quickly.
Okay. So what you're saying is it exploded. So first of all.
Well, that's what it looked like, an explosion, because I have no other explanation other than an explosion.
Okay, have you seen a lot of...
Well, here's the thing. If you're rather a distance away, looking through binoculars, so yes, the binoculars are going to bring clarity, but they're not going to bring you P900 clarity. Now, if there's an explosion, you'd see the explosion, maybe, but you wouldn't see what was happening inside the explosion, which was the buildings dropping, because, well, there's a great big cloud of dust blocking your view from, well, a rather long distance away through your binoculars.
Please? Can you compare it to a special effect? Was it like Independence Day?
No. There was no fire. It was gray and white and wasn't very colorful. And
I have a question, David.
Sure.
About what floor level was the bulge?
Well, the bulge wasn't at the very top. I would say it was probably, the high middle third, but it happened very quickly, and as I watched it, it just went down, and then it was gone, and it was hard to tell it was gone because of the column of smoke that was left, or whatever it was.
So was it above or below the smoke coming from the airplane hit?
That's another thing I've been trying to reconcile, because it wasn't for a few years that I really started getting in, about 4 years, so I really started researching and looking for videos, and I don't recall the smoke looking like it did on television, that there wasn't that much smoke. Yes, there was smoke, but it was a whiter smoke, and it was traveling away from me. So it was really hard for me to tell how thick it was. But if you have to ask me, and I don't know how reliable this answer is, I would say it wasn't as much smoke as we were shown on television. Towers are gone. Would you guys agree with that?
That sounds like a typical. That sounds like a really typical scripted kind of challenge. Why would you say that?
Because you're saying you can't believe witness testimony or photographic testimony. I just wanted to make sure that we're in agreement that the tower.
No, that's not what you said. That because you're obviously appealing to the kind of audience that would be listening and thinking, oh, they don't believe the towers are even gone. That's
so. They're there and gone. Yeah, of course. That's not even an argument for
Why would you
anybody,
ask
is
that
it?
question unless you're being sardonic, basically? It's insulting.
You guys, you said many insulting things to me, and now I'm all right.
I don't really think I have. They don't even need a picture of themselves and the victim. Which reminds me, actually, David, do you have any pictures of yourself with Robbie or Michael? Maybe.
I'm sure there's a picture of me windsurfing with Robbie.
Yeah, probably.
But then
But do you have that? Do you think you can send that to us?
It wouldn't be digital. I'd have to dig it up, and what would be the point? You would just say that it's photoshopped. It's not him. It's not me, and it doesn't matter. So
why would you say that if we were good at analyzing? If it was real?
I mean, how could you analyze? If I gave you a real picture, how could I prove that that's Robbie Noonan? It's not worth me looking up.
Because a lot of the pictures that people put up as evidence are actually really crappy, and they have problems.
It would probably be a pretty crappy picture. It would probably be a pretty crappy picture.
But that's just a cop-out. Why don't you just try it?
Because I'd have to dig through pictures, and it would take me a long time, and I'm not even sure if there's one that shows our faces at the same time. It might be the back of his head on a windsurfer.
That would prove somewhat, a little bit.
It wouldn't prove anything unless he was holding his license in front of his face with me standing next to him with a newspaper and a date on it.
No, I don't think so. I think it'd be more believable if it was you and Robbie in a believable scenario, and it was a realistic picture that actually showed you two both in the same room, realistically, with good lighting, not shitty, stupid crap lighting like they have in the
How about I get you a picture of Mike Rothberg with a buddy of mine? With a buddy of yours. So you're going to pretend to know this other guy too? No, it's got to be you. How do you even know
very
what
clear, very high quality, not compressed, not crappy.
Well, it's not digital. I don't have.
Not cryptography.
It's not gonna happen.
If it's any help, I've seen.
I didn't have a digital camera back then, and I don't take a bunch of selfies with me and Robbie.
Not even
I've
one
seen
picture.
him. Boy, I've seen what David looks like.
Yeah, but David with Robbie, David with Michael.
David with Jeff C. mask. I seen that today.
You like that?
That was funny.
That was funny. Come on. Does that make me a shill?
Oh.
No. What would make you a shill is if you were really good at infiltrating a forum or infiltrating a, podcast, and just we're here to give your view.
Calmly. Who asked who to be on this show? Me?
I seen that podcast.
Did I asked to be on this?
Yeah.
No, I was asked to come on here, and I was asked to be someone who could ask questions. That's why I'm here.
Listen, I have no problem with that, but I didn't ask to be on this podcast. I was asked.
You're
invited. You're invited. But what does that have to do with why you won't present a good, high quality?
Because I don't have one. I can tell you I don't have one.
Okay.
I don't have. It was pre-digital cameras, and that's it. I don't have it. I take a million pictures of myself.
You said before that you might be able to dig through.
I might be able to find one of us windsurfing together. You know what that'll look like? It'll look like, all right, who is that on the board? I can't even tell. And the way I would know it with him is probably by his sail. All right. It depends. I don't, and it would be one that I didn't take too. So I would really have to look for it.
Did you leave a memorial tribute?
No, I did not. I did not go to his memorial.
Did Did you leave a tribute on their digital memorial?
No.
Huh. Well, is there a reason you wouldn't do that?
It's just not something I do.
Oh,
I didn't
why?
even know that you can do a digital memorial. When it happened, I wasn't that big on the internet back then.
Well, you could do it now. They're still accepting them, I think.
I could. What's the point?
Well, I was just wondering.
What's the point? You know what? If I did that, you could say, "Well, that's exactly what somebody faking a persona would do." You would wait 15 years and then do that. That proves my point. I mean, that's ridiculous. Come on.
Oh no, I was just wondering. I was just wondering how you would answer the question. That's all.
That's how I answered the question.
Okay, that's fair. Do you know Robert Walter Noonan's age when he died?
I'd have to do
Without
that
looking it up?
afterwards. No, I mean, I'm not looking it up, but I mean, I'm 51 now, so do the math backwards. And he was younger than me.
Okay, so did you know who Rothberg worked for?
Mike Rothberg?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, not 100% positive, that he worked for Cantor Fitzgerald.
What about Robert
I
Noonan?
said I don't know.
Oh. Would you be surprised to find out that they worked for the same company?
I would not be surprised at all.
Combined with the fact that we just don't have another good picture of either of these characters that you claim to know.
What do you mean another good picture?
Another good picture. Why is it that they keep posting the same picture of Robert Walter Noonan, or it's cropped, or it's a little blurrier in one or the other? Do you have another picture maybe that you have of them that isn't with you in it? I don't know.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can find one.
Great.
What is?
Yeah, that ends up being quite a problem trying to get more than one crappy picture. You'd think.
I got you that, and if I can't, that would be interesting. What picture is it that you guys are seeing?
No, I'm not going to tell you that. I think you
All
can
right.
find something else.
All right.
I don't think you would have this picture, because if you did, that would be a little strange.
Well, how was that valid?
I have a very crappy picture of Robbie wearing a hat with an S on it. Is that the one you have?
I'm not sure.
Mine
Can you
was
Can you drop it into Skype?
I will, but I don't know if I don't see why not. Let's see if I can find another one first. Are we done recording?
No, we're
No,
all
we're
on
still
pins and
broadcasting.
needles.
Oh, well, what, for the picture? You want to do this on the air?
So I just, it started on the air.
Just before I fall asleep.
Hey, just humor me. Just humor me. It's probably nothing. It's probably not even a clue.
What's the question?
Can you send the pics, please? It's not really a question. It's just
I'm trying to find one that's clear.
Oh, I see. So you have a bunch of them? You can just send all of them, really. That'd be fine. The more the merrier. I'm surprised they didn't contact you to get pictures.
There's only one crappy picture, and to me, it's a horrible picture. So.
Well, that's cool. Let's see it anyway.
Okay, hold on. Let me send it through.
Where did you get it?
From his sister's Facebook page.
Nice. So it's probably named something crazy like Facebookish. Oh yeah, all the numbers.
Yeah, and it's a horrible picture. And if I didn't know him, I would say this is the most photoshopped horrible picture ever, and it proves only that something's wrong. So that's why I was hesitant in even sending it.
Isn't his head too big for his shoulders?
It sure looks that way. It's a horrible picture. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm going to read Iron 26's comments. This is what I see. A man who wants to be important, make a book, etc. It's a stretch for me that he is a paid employee of some government agency to derail FE. But you have seen that he's trying to palm people off with an app that would put other people off looking further into FE. Right? I showed it in this very hangout, and then I showed it again for you. You've seen that. He's not stupid, and it's not like it hasn't been brought to his attention. So doesn't that lean a bit more? If what he's doing is he's putting an app out which is going to make intelligent people pull away from further investigation upon seeing that app, that very app. They look at that app, they say, but wait a second, no, this doesn't, what is this? This is silly, what is this? And that's it. That's it. Now their whole experience of flat earth is that it's silly. That's what's happening. Plus then pushing another lie, which is the whole rape thing. After having said that the rape thing wasn't even a real thing. You see? And now you're hearing him backpedal and change tunes. He said in the previous interview he was on his mobile phone, and when the second tower hit, their phones died. On this interview, he was on his landline. Don't you see? How much more evidence do you need, IN26, that this is not an honest person, and a not honest person in a truth movement, there's no room for him. However, an agent, that's what they would do. That's an infiltrator, that's what they would do. They would change stories, they would change various different things, and they would push things that put people away, put people off from looking further into it. With 9/11, he was putting people off by saying it was particle beam weaponry. Yeah, satellite weapons. That's right. You know, like GoldenEye, that James Bond. Yeah, satellite weapons. Weapons from space disintegrated the towers. Ah, that's it. I've had enough. This is all a crock of shit. That's the point. So here's this shit app that doesn't work. Anybody can see and check and go, there's a crock of shit. That's the point. What more do you need? But let's carry on. Oh yeah, yes, Madame Inducer replies, he also told me to get over it, as did Bob Nodell. It's like, wait. I don't need to get over the fact that I managed to get rid of a narcissist over only 8 weeks or 9 weeks. I'm giving myself a pat on the back, thank you very much. Don't need to get over it. See? But let's continue with this. It's near the end now. Huh? What's happening? Oh, I think we reached the end. There's no audio. Let's see. Yeah, I think that was the end. 1 second. Huh?
Not sure.
Yeah. Yes, that's the end.
Then isn't even sending it.
Isn't his head too big for his shoulders?
It sure looks that way.
It's too big for his
It's a horrible
torso.
picture. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Ah, there you go. That's David Weiss. So IN26, it's difficult to accept having been wrong. So when you back someone like David Weiss and it turns out you were wrong backing him, it's difficult for most people, especially people that haven't been through situations where they've had to admit having been wrong over and over. I don't mean over and over like day after day after day. That would be incredibly demoralizing. But this is the situation we have. David Weiss, I sided with David Weiss. See, that's where I'm coming from. Do you understand? So I'm telling you, it doesn't crush you, it doesn't kill you, it doesn't destroy you to accept that you were wrong. And you're wrong, thinking that David Weiss is just a guy who wants to be... That's what they said about the imposter. Oh, that person just wants to be famous, wants to be something, wants to be a celebrity. It's like, no. That's how people mask their inability to say, wait a second, that person has lied. See? That's what happened with the imposter. And the lie started to come out. The rumours, not in public, started being spread. hey, listen, have you heard about this with the imposter? And they're talking to somebody else who's another honest person going, yeah, I thought that was weird. Then they talk to somebody else, and eventually they talk to somebody who's one of the moles. That somebody then reports, they're talking about this, you know. That mole, in some cases, is Nora No One or No One's flower. And that's how it goes. And you have to accept that. You've seen it right here. You can't say, no, well, there's a bit of truth in the app. It's like, no. That's a poison pill.